So let me ask you another question we just received, which was you referenced stock buybacks, and you also made the point, which seems to me pretty clearly right, that if businesses are going to accept government money on the downside, they have to accept regulations that go with it. And some of the proposals have involved prohibiting stock buybacks for the recipients of these funds. What do you think about that? And what do you think about buybacks in general?
I'm going to get up for a second from the screen to get a letter that Warren Buffett sent me a number of years ago, and I'm going to read the letter to your participants. Just bear with me one second.
Great.
I can cite it by heart, but rather than do that, I'll read the letter. I'll explain the background of the letter. Bear with me one second. Bear with me. Okay. In 2007, I gave a speech at a value investing conference, and the speech was directed towards two subjects. I spoke about Dr. Henry Singleton, who was a genius ahead of his time, the founder of a company called Teledyne, and on stock repurchase, which I was very critical of at the time. And on November 23rd of 2007, Warren wrote me a letter, and he said, "Dear Lee," I'm reading this letter dated November 23rd, 2007, "I don't think you could have picked two better subjects. Henry is a manager," that's Henry Singleton, "that all investors, CEOs, would-be CEOs, and MBA students should study. In the end, he was 100% rational, and there are very few CEOs about whom I could make that statement. The stock repurchase situation is fascinating to me. That's because the answer is so simple. You do it when you are buying dollar bills at clear-cut and significant discount, and only then. As a general observation, I would say that most companies that repurchased shares 30 years ago were doing it for the right reasons, and most companies doing it now are wrong when doing so. Time after time, I see managers who are attempting to be fashionable or perhaps subconsciously hoping to support their stock. I gave in my speech Lowe's, Loews, as an example of a good buyback. Lowe's is a great example of a company that's always repurchased shares for the right reason. I could give examples of the reverse, but I try to follow the dictum. I love this line: praised by name, criticized by category, best regards, Warren. So in answer to your question, I like stock repurchases when it's practiced by companies that have truly undervalued stocks. But a lot of companies, have been motivated, like Warren said, to support their stock. A lot of companies were very nefarious in what they were doing. They tightened up supply demand, they exercised options and sold stock back to the company, which in my opinion is borderline criminal conduct. So, the government will, weigh in on buybacks. Politicians will weigh in on buybacks, but I don't think we should damn them. It's a good use of capital. What better use of retained earnings is there than buying back something you know a lot about at a significant discount to what it's worth? You just got to be right in making the judgment what it's worth.
So when the government conditions financial support for companies on not allowing buybacks, what's your view on that?
Well, for a company that is basically in the unfortunate situation of taking government money, he who's bread you eat is song you sing. That's right. It. The government has the right to do it. I don't. I'm in a debate with this fellow who's on CNBC a lot, who is a venture capitalist. I forget his name. I think he's from somewhere in Asia. And he's very negative on the government involvement. And I just say, you're wrong. It's a different form of welfare. In other words, if we let AIG and Chrysler go bankrupt, we'd have tremendous increase in our social welfare, unemployment benefits. By helping out companies that have a liquidity issue temporarily, but are not insolvent, we basically limit our social welfare costs, and we're getting a return on our investment. I think the world is better off that AIG survived. The world is better off that Chrysler survived. It's a different form of welfare, but we're getting an economic return on that investment. And I do believe the government has a right to dictate policies to those companies that take money from the government. On the other hand, I don't think they have any right to dictate policies to companies that have been, self-reliant.